Frontline with Kortney Kenny, and I'm Tom Parisi, and today we got a great set of guests.
It's another fantastic episode of your favorite podcast, and mine too, the Frontline Podcast. I'm Tom Parisi, he's Kortney Kenny, and today we are joined by a rookie on your North Bay Battalion. We just figured out how to say his name properly, so for the record, it's Michael Podolioukh. Nothing at the end, just ended on the vowels. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for clearing that one up. We have been saying it wrong for weeks.
No problem. Thanks for having me, guys.
I gotta ask, one thing I wanted to ask, because we've been talking about you on the broadcast, especially lately, as it seems like you've gotten your legs under you a bit in the OHL, but coming into camp with no guaranteed spot, what was that like, fighting through camp and trying to get a spot, and then finally being able to put pen to paper and commit to the battalion?
Yeah, obviously it was like a little bit of uncertainty, but the OHL has always been a path that I've wanted to go to. School didn't really look at it too closely, but like coming into camp, not knowing if for sure if I was going to make the team, it was obviously a little bit of uncertainty, but I'm really happy that I committed to the battalion, and couldn't be happier, honestly.
I mean, your game has really picked up lately. 3 goals on the season. I think I got to see your first one too in the Sioux. Talk about how the on-ice adjustment's been going for you since the start of the season.
Yeah, obviously the OHL is a lot different from minor hockey, so the adjustment's been pretty large. But it's nice to have the 4 preseason games under my belt. I thought that helped a lot going into the season, and I just think I'm getting better every game, and it's I owe a lot of credit to the coaching staff and my line mates and teammates. They've helped the adjustment be much smoother, and it just makes it a lot better for me going into the game with the confidence of the coaching staff and my teammates.
I wanted to ask too about that penalty shot goal of Barrie. That was our first game that we did on the road that year. I'd never been to Barrie. It's an interesting arena for sure. But after the game, myself and Derek Lindemann, who called the game, we both said, when he let that shot go, we were like, what are you, like, that's kind of far out. There's no way that's going in. And the next thing, it was in the back of the net. What goes through your mind when you're awarded a penalty shot and then you go through it and you take that shot? Because it was lethal.
Yeah, I mean, I got a hard time about that from the guys also. They were like, what are you doing shooting from so far out? But I don't know. I just I didn't know the goalie, so I had to creep in really slowly. I had to check him out, see where he was weak. And, as soon as I saw his glove side was weak, I was like, I got to shoot here, and I got to shoot now. So I decided to go shoot, and luckily went posted in.
Like, can you tell all that just coming in on a breakaway, or like, take us through how you can tell where a goalie's having a bad day on his glove hand, blocker, 5-hole, whatever?
Yeah, like that's the reason I went in slow. Like, you always have to change angles with the puck, and the angle from where you're sick is a lot different from the angle where you're looking at. So that's why I kind of pulled in the shot a little bit, changed the angle of the puck, and I was able to get it through.
To be fair though, Tom, none of the Barrie goalies that game are having a good game. So
it's true.
But that was that's not to take away anything from the shot. That was a crazy good shot. Like, I'm not joking. We were like, wow.
Yeah.
Starting the season on the 4th line as a rookie, in years previous, that's kind of where rookies spent most of their first year with the battalion. Of course, you're part of the double cohort, and this would have been your second year in the league, if anything. But getting a promotion to the 3rd line, what'd that feel like when you saw your name penciled in on up a line, basically?
Oh, it felt great. Obviously, moving up a line. You get that a little bit of increase in ice time. It just obviously boosts your confidence a lot, especially in minor hockey, you're one of the top guys. You're always on there and important minutes, and just, getting that little bump up, it's really good for the confidence. And also playing with not to knock on my 4th line mates, but, playing with Wakely, me and him are really have a good chemistry, me and Ovi as well.
What is, when you go out and do play a shift as a winger, like, we hear so much about how a center has a lot more defensive responsibilities than a winger and whatnot. For maybe some of the uninitiated or someone who just goes and just enjoys the game and doesn't really get into the details of it, what extra roles does a center have over being a winger?
Well, center, usually like you obviously have lots of roles. You're basically the third D man, right? So you have to be back quick. I wouldn't say the wingers have to coast in, but I would say definitely the centers really have to get on their horse and back check hard. They got to be that third D man and support the D. Also they have to pick up the guys, like if they're rolling off the wall, they have to pick up that odd man. And then wingers, they have to cover their D man usually, or get in tight during the scrum. They also have to chip it out, which is not easy, especially when a 200-pound guy with skates on is coming hurling towards you.
Your number 10, we were able to ask like Wakes and Nelly and all them, over the pandemic, what number they were going to wear and whatnot. Did you know when you came in that you wanted number 10, or were you just kind of given that you were okay with it?
Well, I actually wanted number 28 because that was my minor hockey number, because I'm born on the 28th. But Lucan took that, so I just decided to take 10 because 2 + 8 is 10. So I don't know.
That's fair. Did you give Lucan any trouble for that? Because he's a pretty big boy.
Yeah. I mean, me and Lucan are good friends. So I gave him a little bit of crap about it, but that's about it.
That's funny. So adjusting not only to a new league, but obviously to the team and stuff, how easy or difficult has it been? I know you mentioned, being pals with Lucan, having chemistry with Wakely, but just trying to fit into the locker room and finding out your role, how easy or difficult has that been?
Well, I thought it's actually been pretty easy. I know, like you hear stories from other teams and other buddies you might have in the league about how it is, but like I've had a completely different experience. It's been awesome. Like the veterans on this team are great. The coaching staff is awesome. Developed a really good relationship with everybody in the organization. So it's been a really easy adjustment, and I'm super fortunate to have that.
I wasn't sure if you were about to ask a question or if you're just leaning in, so I was waiting for you. But let's go back to your OHL draft. When you see your name pop up on the screen and is a team like North Bay, what goes through your mind? How excited are you?
Yeah, it was really exciting. Because I had Winstanley. He was my head coach in my minor midget. So to see him and him being part of the organization is obviously really exciting. And I was really fortunate because I know I would be in good hands, and I don't have to worry about meeting new GMs or something like that. It could just be a nice, easy transition.
Is that really important though when you're choosing your spot and where you want to go? A little bit of familiarity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't want to go in an organization that nobody, right? It's good to have those extra set of eyes that look over you and just make sure you're on the right path.
We've when we've had Ty on, when we've had Owen Van Steensel on, we asked them, or maybe no, it wasn't Owen Van Steensel. Sorry, I'm getting my players mixed up now because we've done this so many times. But someone who played for John Winstanley, what is he like as the coach? What we've met him as the general manager or assistant general manager, but what's he like as the coach?
He's really he's a good coach. Like we won so many times, like you can't knock him. But he asks a lot, but he rewards you for it. And that's like, I wouldn't say he's a really like super hard old school coach, but he demands a certain level of work ethic and attention to detail, and you get rewarded for it by winning. So
when it comes to the playing for the junior Canadians, they're kind of one of the more prestigious, minor teams to come up and play under. What's it like when you get that jersey and you put it on and you play for an organization like that?
Yeah, it's pretty surreal because obviously the pedigree of Jersey is so high. It's awesome. You just see it's always Marlies, Jersey, and I don't know, Rebels or some other third team, but Jersey is always at the top, and they always destroy the competition. So it was great to be a part of them.
With the pandemic and everything that kind of stopped everyone's playing time and stuff, how did you spend your time, away from the rink and trying to train and get ready?
Yeah, obviously it was just a lot of training. Just really not much to do. Catching up on schoolwork, but really it was just training. I was lucky. I had like a shooting. I had like a little shooting gallery in my basement, so I was able to just rip pucks day in and day out, and thought that really helped me. And yeah, really just train, eat, train, and sleep. That's it.
What's a shooting gallery in a basement look like?
It just like, like artificial ice, and you just it's something that's like a plastic that's really easy for the pucks to slide on.
So gone are the days of Joe Sakic shooting it into his washing machine or whatever it was.
Yeah, Sidney Crosby.
Yeah. So I guess your parents are probably a lot more happy to have artificial ice than a broken laundry machine for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
What's it like what's it been like for them, with you living away from home and all that, moving away and playing hockey in a different town?
Well, I actually I have a house in Callender.
Oh, okay.
So just 20 minutes outside of North Bay. So I'm actually living at home, which is nice. So
Was that
Mike, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, was that like they kind of moved up here with it, or were you guys just always had a house in Callender?
no, I had this house before I even signed for the team. So yeah, I just luckily it worked out this way.
Huh. That's pretty interesting. That's cool. Go ahead, Tom.
Well, yeah, it's just dumb luck. So you kind of knew a little bit about what you were getting yourself into and whereabouts. I mean, how you got to be the only guy who's living at home. Any special? Do people come over more often than not?
I actually haven't had anybody over yet, but I'm sure in the winter I'll have lots of guys over. So it's still early in the season.
Are you a big we've had some of the alumni on who came in and kind of discovered ice fishing through North Bay, but having a place in Callender, that's kind of part and parcel of the winter. So have you yourself partaken in ice fishing? Do you plan on taking any of your teammates out there?
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking of doing with Wakes, Ovi, Ty, those guys. But yeah, I have with me my dad and my grandpa. We've gone ice fishing already this past winter, so it was pretty awesome.
You got any good ice fishing stories, or how the stories where they started like this big and then they get this big and this big?
Yeah, I mean we weren't too lucky. We didn't have many keepers, so usually the fish in Callender Bay aren't too big. So
yeah, you got to go out on the big lake for sure. That's where, whenever I go, that's when I go with my old man, and he only looks for perch. So in the summer it's all about pickerel, in summer winter it's all about perch. I don't know.
Yeah,
why.
the perch are big in the winter. Perch aren't hard to catch.
No, yeah, when you just get your minnows in there. But I'm more of the type of guy that's there for the camaraderie and listening to music and hyping people up when they catch the fish, and I'll just sit there and have snacks and really do much fishing. So
I'm not a fisherman.
No. Have you never been ice fishing?
So much. She loves fishing. I don't like it.
Well, I mean, that comes with the territory of where she's from, right? So
yeah, it's true.
She's from Newfoundland. She kind of has to be a big into fishing.
The Constitution there.
Pretty much. Like, I think when you're born, you have to sign off on something. Like, you have to be big into fishing when you're in Newfoundland. But yeah, like, so when you get drafted to North Bay and you got a place in Callender, what's that like? That's got to feel extra special.
Yeah, it's it's nice because obviously I didn't sign straight after getting drafted, but I knew that if that time came, and luckily it did, I would have a place to stay and I wouldn't have to move away from home, and that would create less anxiety, especially in my first season in the O. So yeah, it's really special.
We've talked about that with a few other players too, just how big a stride mental health has come, and Ty gave us a bit of an insight as to you guys having like a sports psychologist from, was it Nipissing, I believe?
Yeah.
Have you ever taken part, and how important is that to you to have that resource?
Yeah, it's obviously amazing. I know some of the guys that talk to him. I personally have even talked to him a few times just about, about my game and whatever topics I want. He's open to listen, which is awesome. Yeah, he's been really helpful to me and the guys, and he does often weekly presentations about various topics, and he's great. Honestly, he's a really good tool for the organization.
How important is that, having, well, you mentioned he's great, but how extra special is it to be able to talk to him when, as a rookie and everything, there have been a lot of negative connotations about rookies in previous years. That's obviously not there to this now compared to what it used to be. But, being a rookie, trying to find your way, your game might not be what it was when you were in minor hockey type of thing. Like, how important is that?
Yeah, it is. It's obviously really important because it's always to have like that one person you could talk to that's not really your parents or your coaches or your like your best friend. It's like somebody who can just listen and give you the best advice. And he's really well educated, which is obviously a huge bonus and really important. So yeah, that's it.
In camp, take us through the day that you signed. What was did they pull you into a meeting? Were you nervous? Did you know what was happening when they pulled you in, type of thing? Or did you think you
Yeah,
might have been getting cut?
no, I so it was like because we have the 48-hour rule, right? Because of the NCAA. So um yeah, after the 48 hours, so it was after the third game, after the morning game on the second day. They pulled us in, they pulled us all in. Some guys were getting cut, some guys weren't. And as soon as I went in, like I felt pretty good about myself after playing the 3 games. Thought I could definitely make an impact, and luckily they decided to sign me, and it was just ecstatic. So we were really happy. Like the whole week, I was just I couldn't sleep. But yeah.
To those who don't know, explain the 48-hour rule. If you can.
So it's basically in the NCAA, you're required to only attend like an OHL camp for 48 hours. If everything is paid for, but if you pay for everything, you're able to stay, however long you want. But generally teams will only keep certain guys for 48 hours, and then they'll start narrowing down the team until they finally have the finished product at the end of the camp.
When you do finally put that pen to paper and you mention you're on cloud nine and you can't really sleep and everything, how long did it take for you to actually kind of be like, oh, okay, now I have to prepare for actual OHL games coming up?
Yeah, I'd say probably around after the first week, everything starts to calm down. You start getting to team practices. And it's basically another training camp just with the core team, and you start preparing for preseason, and then eventually a season opener.
With that season opener, well, not only the season opener, but training camp and everything starting to kind of get more normal for you after not being on the ice for Lord knows how long. How relieving is that? Not just exciting, but how relieving is that, to kind of, okay, we're back on the ice, training camps here, and now you're getting ready for that first game against Peterborough in October and everything, and just how relieving and exciting is that at the same time?
Yeah, it was really it was obviously really awesome because our minor midget season got cut short because of the pandemic. We didn't even get to play in the OHL Cup, and then we basically had a whole year off, just because we weren't able to get a start date, and we weren't even able to get on the ice. So obviously it's really good to have like a complete set plan, especially like, when back last year they had kind of had a start date and you were kind of preparing for that start date, and then it just got pushed back, and then your off-season plan just got changed, and then it happened again and again, and then eventually the season completely canceled, and you're like, well, we're back at square one, right? So it's obviously really good that we're finally able to get going.
Well, how annoying was that though, to have it just always this close?
It sucked because, obviously like the off season, it's usually, 2-3 months, and you have a specific plan to peak at the right time, right before the season. And if the plans are always changing, you're peaking at the wrong times, right? And that's not what you want.
With the podcast, it was kind of annoying because I remember we had just done an episode with Wakely, and we were talking about, oh yeah, the season looks like it's gonna get going, how excited are you, and all that stuff. And we were gonna have Mathurin on, and then the season got canceled, and it was like, okay, maybe we should hold off on Mathurin right now, type of thing, and go back to some alumni. It got pretty tough too. It was weird to finally be able to talk about live hockey on the podcast after a year of doing it. So but yeah, no, so far, your rookie season this first season back has been pretty good for the team. As of right now, you're sitting first in the Eastern Conference. What does it feel like to be a team that's has nobody to look up to? You're just looking down and seeing everyone else trailing.
Yeah, it's like kind of feels like minor hockey right now, like being in Jersey, but it's like it's really special, especially in a tough league like the OHL. It's where every game it's so hard to win. You really have to give it your all. But the veterans, like the old veterans on the team, like Simon Rose and Brandon Coe and Mitch Russell, they experienced losing with this team, and they keep reminding us how special of a group we have, and just we have to push every single day because everybody's gunning for our spot, right? So
one of the last questions we got for you here is it's kind of a staple of the Frontline podcast. It's the question that we ask a lot of the players, and I know you haven't played in every rink, but what has been your least favorite stop so far out of the rinks that you've played in?
Sudbury.
We hear that
Sudbury number 1, Peterborough number 2, Ottawa number 3, in that order.
It's like he's listened before.
Yeah, it's pretty much what everyone says, but is Ottawa because of what happened in that Ottawa game, or is Ottawa just because it's just not a great rink?
Yeah, I don't know. It kind of reminds me of Peterborough. They have pretty square boards also. The boards are dead also. I don't know. Also what happened in the rink, it just bad memories. I don't really like it.
Well, it's nice that you guys shut them out here last week though at home. So a little bit of revenge. Sudbury, when you go there and you see the Wolf for the first time coming out, obviously it's not good because you've been scored on, but what goes through your head when you see a taxidermized wolf walking over across this clothesline?
Yeah, it was just weird because the thing hasn't been vacuuming forever, right? So like it's going over the zip line and it's shaking dust all over the crowd. So it's weird. I don't like it. Obnoxious goal horn also. Very
much so.
It's the worst in the league by 100 miles. Worst.
Yeah, we're not. I don't mind the rink, but yeah, as to play there, it's. Plus, they talk about trying to be COVID safe and stuff, and putting dust everywhere. I don't think that's really all that COVID safe. So maybe they should just condemn it and not let Sudbury play any more games. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Well, we've learned a lot, especially how to say your name. So it's going to be great saying it right from here on out, because I'm pretty sure in the pronouncer it's Podolioukh is how they have it pronounced. So we now know it's Podolioukh, and we're very excited about that. So thank you, Michael, for joining the Frontline podcast, making your debut here. We're excited to have you, and we're excited to see how the rest of your rookie season goes, and also excited to hear some of the ice fishing stories as well when you get those guys out there.
Yeah, all right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Anytime.
A big thank you to Michael Podolioukh here on Country. Oh my God. I had radio stuff. Radio stuff on that one. Oh my God.
Tom, you're fired, buddy.
I already heard that once. But wow. Okay. Thanks to Mike for being on the podcast, is what it's normally called, the Frontline Podcast. Jumping Jack Flash. All right, he's Kortney and Tom. And let's talk about the week that was, shall we?
Yeah, let's try.
Let's try. So we'll start off with the one game against Ottawa. You heard it in our last episode. Ty Nelson said, "Man, we're going to beat these guys," and beat them. They did, Kortney. A shutout.
Yeah, 3-0 win over the Ottawa 67s, and they followed up their most complete game of the year against Sudbury with another great complete effort against Ottawa. Joe Verbettic looked really good in that game. The Battalion in general looked really good in that game. Kyle Jackson now has 3 goals in 2 games against his hometown team this year, the Ottawa 67s. He's from Ottawa. You would have heard that by now at this point of the episode too, because I did catch up with him after that game against the 67s. So good for Kyle Jackson. He's really putting teams on notice this year, and thanks for passing me over, in the NHL draft too and everything. And I remember one time I hosted a TV show with Adam Dennis on and I asked him at the time, because this was the year that Kyle Jackson was up and down between there and the CCHL. I asked him, why are you bringing up someone like him? What do you guys see in him? And they believed in him right from day one. They just didn't have a spot for him on that team, and now it's really paying off for him.
Well, it's paying off for the team too.
Absolutely, it is. So yeah, that Ottawa 67s game, and it was good. It felt good because of how it ended in Ottawa. That penalty shot, that was it really worth a penalty shot? We're gonna say no, but it is what it is. It is a penalty shot in the stat book, and it is a goal against. So it felt good to get that win. From a fan's perspective and from a broadcaster's perspective, I can only imagine how good it felt in the dressing room.
Oh, I'm sure it was a special something, of course, just to get that kind of revenge win. And Lord knows they deserved the outcome too, because they outshot them 39-27. It was a very complete game, and Joe looked outstanding. And, then we take it to the next day, and usually a next day game is not great, especially when it's on the road and it's in Oshawa. Never an easy place to play.
Mm-mm.
And they came out with a big 4-2 win. They dropped a goal early, but they just pounded at them. And again, another gutsy, gritty Battalion win.
Absolutely. And I'm not to be negative for a second, but Callum Ritchie is going to be a thorn in their side all year long.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's going to be a thorn in the side of every team in this league, but scoring a goal again against the Battalion. So that kind of sucks. But again, another great revenge game, considering the last time that they played Oshawa ended in heartbreaking fashion here in North Bay. So yeah, great for the Battalion to get that win. Dom DiVincentis playing great again as the understudy to Joe Verbettic. And the goaltending has been phenomenal for the last 2 weeks or so for the Battalion. They've been really on point. So good to see that coming into form, especially when you have a guy that's only really has one season under his belt, and the other guy is a rookie in the league. So
exactly.
Good to see.
No, it was a great game. And then they had a couple days off. Well, one day, and then an afternoon game against Niagara, where they completely just dominated off the get-go. What was it? 4 goals in the first period?
Yeah.
And then it kind of trailed off, where if you're talking about it like, if you win the period, they didn't win any of the periods.
No, it was kind of, if you look at the scoreboard, so it's 4-0 after the first. If you look at the scoreboard in the second and third period combined, it's 3-3. So yeah, you won 7-3, and don't get me wrong, fantastic, and you looked like a great team in the first half of the game. But some little things kind of crept in the third period, and you could kind of tell post game that Ryan Houlihan was just less than impressed with some of the things that he saw on the ice. Obviously happy to get the 2 points, and so we're like everyone else was happy to come out of there with 2 points, and also to beat the pants off of Niagara in that first period always feels good too. But yeah, it just, some little things were creeping in there at the end, and you don't like to see that. So hopefully this week we don't see it so much while they're on the road, because it's 3-3 and it's a road trip. And you've been on this road trip. We talked about it a couple of weeks ago, because it's the same road trip they were just on, but this time it's only over 3 days. So
you don't get a stopover in Ottawa, which, trust me, makes a monster difference in the grand scheme of things. So yeah, coming up this week is a Thursday game against the Peterborough Petes in Peterborough, 7:05. That starts. Then Kingston the next night, 7:00 start, and then a 2 o'clock start on Saturday, the 27th. And even then, they're not coming back home. They got more road trips the following weekend, so it doesn't get any easier. Mm-hmm. And this is going to be a big block. The next 5 games, you're going to see if they really do have, if they've earned that 12-6 record they got going on right now, as of the time of this broadcast. Yeah. Also at the time of this broadcast, Kortney, second in the league in goals for.
Yep.
One behind the Sioux Greyhounds.
Yeah, I mean, it's been fire wagon hockey out in the Sioux this year, right? That's pretty crazy, all that stuff.
They only got one line.
Yeah, but I mean, it's only one line, and they lead the league in goals. So, I mean, that's pretty impressive from that one line.
Yeah, but you shut them down, and you got yourself a win almost.
Well, it seems like many teams haven't been. I mean, North Bay did pretty good in the last game against the Sioux. The Sioux will also be the first team that the Battalion see back here when they get off this road trip. So
Was that December 9th?
yes. So for your fans listening to this at home, you're going to want to get there and, get to that game and see that high flying Sioux St. Marie Greyhounds one line. But anyways, the Battalion, I mean, I don't think that's anything that you and I would have ever said a few years ago. Oh my goodness, this team is going to be one of the top scoring teams in the league. Because there were years past where this team was a one line team. You look at the Brazo line with, Struthers and Berghardt and whatnot. And you shut them down. Well, then you shut down everything else. But this team, all four lines can hurt you.
That's the thing. Somebody's on that. You know what it reminds me of, and maybe we're dating ourselves, which is fine. But do you remember those early 2000s, mid 2000s New Jersey Devils?
Yes.
Where they had really good players scattered about the lineup. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
Like Scott Gomez playing on the fourth line.
Yeah.
And you're like, how? But they're winning, and it didn't matter.
Yeah.
And
Brian Giunta at the start of his career. Patrick Eliash was kind of in the midpoint.
exactly.
Danny Zubris, all those guys. I'm really
Where's
worried.
Zubris?
Yeah, but I mean, even then, I'm just kind of scared of that. The fact that I remember all these names. Speaking of a little bit off topic, have you seen their new third jerseys? They're awful.
So if you're listening to this, watching us, minds are blown. The jersey's black with white stripes and I think a red outline like along the stripes,
Yeah.
but all it says across the chest is Jersey. So everybody's making fun of it.
Shirt.
Ed, I mean, honestly, it looks ridiculous. Whoever approved it, and I'm hoping it's a prototype. Whoever approved it needs to stop. They need to stop their job.
I don't know how true this is, but I heard Marty Brodeur created it. Like it's his design.
But I thought he worked for the St. Louis Blues.
No, he's back with the Devils.
Where have I been? It is his design. Listen, there are 4-year-olds who can do a much better job.
Stick to goaltending, Marty. Stick to
Honestly,
goaltending.
you are not creative. You need to stop.
Like I understand the fact calling it Jersey because you always see in TVs of being like, oh, from Jersey or something like, like stuff like that. But like, it's literally Jersey on a jersey.
Oh, it looks ridiculous. There's no if, whens, or buts about it. It looks ridiculous.
Don't worry though. We're gonna get off topic again probably later, so we'll get back onto the Battalion here. But yeah, that jersey. I just had to say that jersey because we're talking about the New Jersey Devils. I'm like, man, that jersey.
So back on topic, we're gonna go alumni, and then we'll come back to the team now. Former defenseman Cam Dineen gets his first NHL point. I thought he had the goal. I thought for sure he scored that goal, that wrister from the point, but it got deflected by like the hair on his chin by Ryan DeZingle.
Yeah.
So he gets an assist. Thought he had the goal.
I like the thing that this is just I'm thinking about Ryan DeZingle for a second. I love the fact that his name, you literally pronounce every letter in his name.
Isn't it nice?
Yeah, like there's no silent. It's not like Django where he's like the D is silent, hillbilly. Like it's straight up DeZingle. So, anyways, great for Cam Dineen. I'm hoping to get him on the podcast eventually one day. Almost did last year, and then training camp kind of took over, which is fair. That's totally fair.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean we're kind of a big deal too, but anyways. Good for Cam Dineen. And we talked about him a little bit on one of the more recent episodes when he first got his call up and couldn't happen to a nicer guy. He was always great to deal with from a media side of things. One of the better interviews that you could find at the time too, as well. So good for Cam Dineen.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, congratulations to Cam. And let's jump back onto this team who had a dynamite week. We know about that in the win column, but the league also recognizing how dynamite the league it was. Brandon Coe gets to be a player of the week. How cool is that? What is it? 3 goals and 5 assists during the week. And I believe he's second in league scoring at the time of this recording, 33 points. And the only thing I will nitpick on this one just a little bit is he doesn't have more goals. Because we know the kid can skate. We know the kid can shoot, but he's been passing at a ridiculous pace this year, 24 assists.
I mean, I guess that's what happens when you have Matvei Petrov on your line.
That's true. Like he hasn't had a guy like Matvei passed to in ages. So
Yeah,
good.
no, I've said that to Derek Lindemann, Matt Sukram, all those guys. I've been like, I bet you we never would have thought that Brandon Coe would be where he is with the assist right now. Like, and he's out. You know what the other thing about him too is he's a much more complete player because he's out there killing penalties too.
This is true.
Like, good for Brandon. Brandon's really, kind of come in and shown his leadership this year and really taken the team and kind of not necessarily put them on his back because everyone's kind of doing their thing, but he's done a good job this year to this point, and he's had a heck of a start, and I'm really excited to see the back half of the year for him. And you know what, enjoy it while you can, Battalion fans, because he is an overager. So no matter what, this is his last season in the green and white.
Now, Joe Verbettic also had a fantastic week.
Yep.
2 shutouts in the not too distant past, and all 3, and he got some wins. Dom DiVincenzo sprinkled in there as well. But Joe got to be one of the goalie of the week, I believe, in the OHL. So congratulations to Joe. But you had an interesting stat about a shutout streak. We were talking off the air, and it warrants to be heard.
Yeah, so he was goalie of the week last week. This week is actually North Bayite or Corbeil native, Ben Goodrow of the Sarnia Sting. So you know what? We will give you a shout out there. This is
He's
the
our
podcast.
goalie of the week.
Yeah. Joe's our goalie of the week. Get out of here, Goodrow. No, I'm just kidding. I will give an honorable mention to Goodrow because he is from the area. So good, that's good for him. And North Bay gets some good goalies, man. Colton Point, Ken Appleby.
But we're good at this.
yes, we are. Anyways, yes. So the stat is, and thankfully, Derek Lindemann said this on the broadcast. He was wrong, so we got him to correct it later on. He said 187 minutes. No. His shutout streak was 198 minutes and 8 seconds. From getting scored in the second period against Sudbury, in the 3-2 loss, unless we don't count the shootout goal. Come on. So the 3-2 loss in Sudbury, and then that he had a shutout against Sudbury that Sunday following that. He had the shutout against Ottawa on the Thursday, and then in the second period against Niagara, on Sunday, they finally found a puck past him. And 190 minutes, if you're wondering what you can do in those 198 minutes, you can watch 2/3. You can watch 2/3 of individually, not back to back, 2/3 of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. The Fellowship of the Ring is at 178 minutes. The Two Towers is at 179 minutes. That's theatrical edition. If we get into the extended edition, well, it's going to be a little bit longer. Which, if you haven't seen the extended editions, as someone who has the One Ring tattooed around my wrist, watch the extended editions. Return of the King, however, is 200 minutes long. So you can still watch the majority of the movie, but you'd have 2 minutes of extra movie into that. So Joe almost was able to encapsulate the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy individually, which is very impressive when you think about how long it takes to sit through one of those movies sometimes.
So all I have to say about that is there's a Homer Simpson quote, season 5, Homer goes to college, and all he yells is the word nerd.
Yes, that is it's very true. We did post it on the Frontline Instagram page, which you can follow at the Frontline Pod, where I put hashtag nerd stats. So it is true.
Stats.
Those are the fun ones. Because it's like, this is a funny thing. Like, and it's just so mind-bogglingly ridiculous. Words are hard. But it's just so ridiculous, his shutout streak, that I was like, I gotta find something ridiculous to put in there. I mean, and so I immediately went to the longest movies that I knew, because I was gonna be like, oh, I wonder if you could watch like Avengers Endgame or something. Well, obviously, if you can watch, Lord of the Rings, you could probably watch Avengers Endgame in it. So
yeah,
so it's pretty ridiculous, and good for you, Joe. I'm going to be thinking about that every time I turn on the Lord of the Rings now.
But the crazy part is it's really hard to get a shutout in the OHL.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and it's no offense to those who play defense, but some nights it's a suggestion and not a position.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get a decent, good shutout in the league. So good on
Yeah.
Joe for accomplishing that. What does he league lead too with two of them, right? Tied?
I think he's up there for sure. And those two came back to back. But that being said, like it is really tough, but those two games were the most complete games. Again, the team had played. They played solid defensively in front of them. I mean, the game against Sudbury, only 14 shots against, but still, Goyette came. We talked about this on the last episode. Goyette came in on a breakaway in that Sudbury game, and he still turned him away. So it's not like it was all easy in those 14 shots against, but good for Joe. That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
Now, here's a bit of randomness, and we'll see if
Are we going off topic?
Not quite. We're staying with the Battalion, but I read this today, and Team Russia for the World Junior Championships just released their preliminary roster. Believe it or not, it does not feature Matvei Petrov.
Well, I'm a fan. Okay.
I was shocked at first, Kortney. I was a little shocked because I feel like at least be on like the provisional roster. It's not the official, but it's close.
Yeah.
But he like not even a sniff. So like I can't figure it out. And then I went and looked at the actual like roster and dug a little bit. I see why. Okay. All of the guys almost play like in men's league, like in a KHL.
Oh.
It's an older team, I'm pretty sure, this year.
Do they have that kid? I don't know his name, but he's like people are already touting him as like the 2023 first overall pick from Russia. He's playing in the MHL right now, and he just scored a dandy of a goal because that's the way I saw him.
Yeah, his name escapes me right now, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
but I
He'd
thought
be really young though.
Yeah, that too. But I thought, man, how could they ignore the decent season he's having? 15 goals so far.
Yeah.
But then I see where they went.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I know what you're doing.
Well, if that's how they're building their team, then Petrov next year. Type of
if
thing.
He sticks around.
Well, I mean, even if he's playing in the AHL, he can still go and play.
This is true.
I mean, not. I mean, I would love to see him move to the next level for sure, but I'm not going to complain if Edmonton decides he needs another year in North Bay.
Oh God, no.
That being said, one thing I want to talk about, Ben Long has brought this up to me on multiple occasions, where Petrov has not come as advertised in a lot of senses. He shoots the puck like we all knew he would. He scores goals like we all knew he would. But a lot of people like basically said, okay, Matvei Petrov, you're going to get a lot of offense out of the kid. Don't expect a lot of defense out of the kid. And he has been pretty stellar defensively for the Battalion, coming back on odd man rushes, and really holding his own in the defensive end. And he's been pretty good on both sides of the puck. And that's kind of where you look at those stats lines, and you're like, wow, this kid can put the puck in the net, but he's been good on both sides and kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
It does. I find, and maybe it's just me, but I find those players who do things like that really well often get, it doesn't get noticed or talked about because you're doing a good job. Absolutely. No one ever talks about if you're doing a good job. They always talk about if you're doing an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Even then, maybe. Or you're garbage.
Well, I had an old boss at the railway who used to say we're all out of attaboys. So I get that. But I mean, that being said, Matvei Petrov has been doing an outstanding job. So, and very complimentary of him when you talk to anyone involved with the Battalion. So expect a lot of good things moving forward, of course, for Matvei continuing this year. And of course, with his hockey career, it's going to be fun to watch.
Oh, I totally agree.
And he's always going to have from what I understand, he quite enjoys his time here. He was very excited to get here in the first place. So it's going to be, I hope North Bay always holds a little special place in his heart when he's up there scoring 50 goals next to Connor McDavid early on Draisaitl.
I wonder if that goes through his mind. Like, if I do this right, this is who I could play with.
It's got to, right?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. I don't know if you saw it, but Edmonton has an architectural Twitter page of some crap.
Yeah,
where Connor David put a tour of his house.
I
It's
only
a
saw a portion.
house.
It's crazy.
He's got an elevator, first off.
Yeah. But
I mean,
the thing is, so he's 25, 26, whatever. And it's like, man, I can't imagine, like, I'm 28, almost 29 at this point. So I'm like looking at this and I'm like, I can't imagine like having a house like that.
I don't think I'd ever want a house like that. It's so, there's just no personality to it at all. Like, there's not even a picture of like a Star Wars thing on the wall.
No, it's
there's
just him.
nothing. I was just, and he's getting dragged all over social media for having just a kind of a blah house. And not that they should drag him over social media for it, but it's just, I understand why.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's a stunner.
Yes.
But it's just so meh.
So the one thing I'll comment, and I'll make a comment that's kind of bad against the host, because I agree with you. It's kind of meh. I'm not an interior designer at all. As you can see, the background of my room, I have a Kiss drum head followed by a Green Day picture, followed by a TV and a guitar and a Captain America shield. Like, I am all over the place when it comes to my designing, because it's whatever, but it's my personality, I guess. So whatever. They were talking in like what used to be his girlfriend's office that's now his, and she's like, I love these light fixtures. And I looked at them like they're two poles with lights on the end of them.
Oh yeah, basically like you could get the same effect with one of the guys who work at the airport doing this in traffic. I mean, I'm sure I could hire somebody from the airport to do the same thing should the need arise, but I won't.
Oh my God. I don't know why, but that broke me.
Every now and then I get to you, and those are the best days.
Oh, I appreciate it. So thank you. That's fantastic. But yeah, no, that's great. So we discussed the Columbus Blue Jackets a couple of episodes ago, but we've had a couple of other episodes where we're like, oh man, we should really talk about this. Like, we should have an Office episode. We should have this type of episode. We really need to plan out another episode where we just get lost on something not related whatsoever.
We'll find something. We'll find something. We always do. I
want to share one of my favorite Tom stories.
I don't even know. I don't even know what this is. So this is news to me.
Don't worry, you lived it. Well, I would share the New Year's Eve one at my apartment, but that's a story for another time. Also, I don't know if anyone involved in that story would like me sharing that story. But anyways, so one of my favorite stories of Tom, and this would kind of segue into my text message that I left for you today. So in my old apartment, you'd walk in, and you walked in and you had this little entranceway, but it led right into the living room. So all you could see was the TV and everything. So I had left the door unlocked because I knew Tom was coming over. We were going to watch hockey or whatever, get some food and watch some hockey. So he walks into my house, and I just have Hotel California by the Eagles like blasting as I'm driving down a freeway on GTA, blowing things up with my tank. And you're like, all you said was, this is a good way to walk into your house.
It was a fantastic way to. Anytime the Eagles are on and I walk into a room, I'm doing good.
Yeah, doing good. But anyways, as a joke, I texted Tom today saying we should just talk about how good the Eagles are for the entire podcast.
We could. We never talk about music, but we could if you want.
Well, I've been really into them lately, so that's all I've been listening to. So as Derek and Ben Long can attest, on the drive to Ottawa, that's pretty much all we that. Well, it's not just the Eagles. Like, we had like some of Don Henley's solo hits and like, Joe Walsh and stuff going on too, but it was mostly the Eagles.
Very much jealous of this car ride already. Now, I know what you're going to be jealous of, but this weekend, as we're wrapping up, maybe Well, we will talk about music at some point, but I did blast. I was here in my basement.
Yeah.
I blasted 2 Metallica albums. I was by myself.
Yeah.
I played them way too loud, but it was too awesome. While I was putting baseboards back on the walls, I had a nail gun in my hand, and I'm listening to Metallica.
Which
I am a master of puppets.
I was gonna say which albums.
Master Puppets and Ride the Lightning.
Oh, okay, there you go. First thing before we wrap up and our little mini off-topic rant about music, before we get to an actual episode that's about music, which I am wearing a "And Justice for All" t-shirt right now.
Nice.
First thing I ever did, the first time I was ever left home alone, which was, we're not like left home alone, but like left home alone for like a weekend. I came home and my parents were already gone, and I went down and took the stereo and I put in Metallica's The Black Album, and I just cranked it, and I skipped Enter Sandman and went right into the bum 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 of Sad But True, and I was like, just cranked it. So
that sounds nice.
It was a very good day. Maybe there was a few things broken in the house because you just can't help but break stuff when you listen to that song. So
this is accurate.
Yeah. So anyways, that's the music rant for this episode. But yes, so the Battalion tops in the East right now, as of this recording, going on a 3-game road trip this week, and then of course another road trip next week, before they get back home against Tom's Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds.
They're not mine. I don't own them.
No, I know. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be weird? Yeah, hi, I'm the co-host of the official North Bay Battalion podcast, but I own the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds.
That'd be so incognito cool.
Yeah, no, it's not Tom's team, but Tom lives in the Sioux, so I mean, whatever. Close enough.
Whatever. Listen, before we start to stray, this is a great time to hit the old dusty trail.
That's probably a good idea.
Ben Sargent, our fantastic producer, we can't say enough good things about. Well, I can. Kortney can. But, thank you to Ben for making us sound so fantastic. If you're watching this on your TV, you can catch the full episodes on YouTube, where you can also spot our Battalion broadcasts. Be sure to tune in. The whole gang's always there. It's fantastic time. Usually home games, sometimes the road games. So be sure you're following us on social media to find out where we are and when we will hit the road games. Also, listen to us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, and the list ends there. Also, don't forget, you can follow the North Bay Battalion on social media as well to find out what we're up to, what they're doing. Just in case you're tired of listening to us, you can get it all there too. All right. Have a fantastic night. This was a lot of fun. He's Kortney Kenny. I'm Tom Parisi, and we'll do it again sometime.